morning all. Sounds so that yaada ho gaya. A small request for all of you, like there is one video on YouTube, like you can just search for Insights Modern India on YouTube. Sound कम हो गया, ठीक है. So this video is available on YouTube. Just go through it. Fine. So I have given the thematic analysis of the previous year questions, the areas that are asked, like what are the themes that you need to focus upon, and then we will build on this. Okay. So just do watch this video on YouTube. Okay. It's like 40 minutes watch. You can easily skim through it. You'll understand the themes which are relevant nowadays. Okay. So we'll get started right away. Okay. Okay. This thing is being live telecasted in Bangalore.
Yes.
Okay. Was not aware of it. Okay. For Bangalore, it is the last subject. In your case? Geography and economics are still left. Okay. Fine. Fine. So, I am very happy to meet you all. Fine. It's I mean, almost 10 years ago, I was a student who used to roam on the streets. It's almost 10 years ago. To be precise, I came to Delhi on 7th July 2012. So, first time I stepped out of Karnataka and I came to Delhi. So, it's been a like prolonged journey, and last time I was in Delhi was like almost 5 years ago for my third interview in 2017, 16 batch. I qualified for interview. So my interview was on like 18th of May. So 1 month before interview I had come to Delhi. So almost 5 years after that I came here, and now on a different assignment, not as a student but as a faculty. So the initial portion you spoke without mic. Okay. Fine. I just asked to watch this video. Fine. Nothing else. You people know me, but these people don't know me. So I was just getting introduced. Nothing else, nothing special. So shall we get started? Fine. So please write down. And with respect to my classes, I will tell this to you very clearly. Most of the things I will dictate in the class. Most of the things will be dictated in the class. There are like a lot of handouts which you will be getting, but handouts, I know what is the fate of handouts. So that's the reason most of the important things I will be discussing them and dictating them to you. Fine. I don't rely on handouts very much. Handouts, like conventionally they will be given to you. It's up to you to refer them, or like you know what to do. Fine. So there are few things that has taken me by surprise. One, in 2020 they asked about Desher Katha, a book related to the Swadeshi movement. Then I started running behind these less known kind of literatures, less known books, nationalistic books that were written. I prepared a list of all the newspapers, all the like less known books, etc. Last year I gave the handouts, and last year 2021 UPSC took me by surprise. They picked the question from the plain sight, Gandhi, songs from the prison. So we have been playing this hide and seek game. So this year I just want to make sure that at least 90% of the questions that comes from modern India will be able to answer that. That's all. One question, that's an exception, that's a googly. If you are capable enough, you can manage, or else it's highly difficult to, like, how will you know Madanapalli question? So unless and until you are from Madanapalli, and unless and until you are from Bengal, who had studied the life history of Rabindranath Tagore, there is no other way. Fine. So like my guarantee is 90% of questions. Okay. Good morning. Okay. So pre-Congress political organizations. What is the first association that you people are familiar with? Zamindari Association or Landholder Society, 1838. So before this, you all know there was something called as Banga Bhasha Sabha, that was associated by the, that was established by the associates of Rajaram Mohan Roy. Earlier in 1817, Rajaram Mohan Roy had started something called as Atmiya Sabha. So it took a formal shape in 1817. Fine. So they started discussing about the happenings around them, majorly socio-religious issues, and then some associates, they continued this type of discussion even after, like Rajaram Mohan Roy passing away, and now they included even the political issues to be discussed, and then it came to be known as Banga Bhasha Sabha. Fine. So area where they will informally meet and they will discuss about the political happenings in the country. That was kind of first known political organization in the country. And then the important or the prominent one, as you all know, it is Landholders Society or Zamindars Association. So like what is the rationale or the objective behind this organization? Any idea? To protect the interests of landholders. So Zamindars, the name itself tells, they did not have any interest to seek the welfare of the masses. All they had was to protect the interests of their classes. They demanded some political reforms from the Britishers, give us representation, because if at all Britishers expand the representation to the councils, like expand the councils and starts providing representation to Indians, they would be the first choice. Obviously, they are the elites in India. So their class would benefit if at all the representation was being extended to Indians. That was the first thing. So, and then this Zamindari Association along with one more organization, which is the next less known organization, British India Society. Fine. So write down Zamindari Society. We'll just write down the objective. Zamindari Society or Zamindars or Landholders Association, 1838. Who are the founders of this? Dwarkanath Tagore, Raja Radhakant Deb, founders. Dwarkanath Tagore, Raja Radhakant Deb. Yeah, Raja Radhakant Deb, Dwarkanath Tagore. Hmm? You need to be fast enough. Raja Radhakant Deb. People lack writing practice. Is it so?
No, sir.
No.
It was mixed by two organizations, so we were not clear which one to be written.
Okay. Then we will proceed further. There we will talk about one more organization. Fine. These were the two prominent Indians who are also associated with Zamindari Association. Fine. So, what do you know about Dwarkanath Tagore? Fine. And also Satyendranath Tagore. So, apart from that, grandfather of so and so is the grandfather of Rabindranath Tagore's son, is the great grandfather of Rabindranath Tagore's grandson. That's not what I am asking for. So, what else do you know? Social reformer. Okay. Do you know his association with Union Bank of India? He is the founder of Union Bank of India. And then he was the first Indian industrialist to partner with Britishers. First Indian industrialists to partner with Britishers. He was the first Indian to become the bank director of a bank. Fine. In 1829, he founded Union Bank of India. 1829. He was the first Indian to own a coal mine in Raniganj. First Indian to own a coal mine in Raniganj. And started Bengal Coal Corporation. And started Bengal Coal Corporation. So, Raja Radhakant Deb, you might be knowing one thing about him, that is, he was the founder of Dharma Sabha. Dharma Sabha, the organization which opposed the ideals of Brahmo Samaj. The organization which supported Sati. They supported Sati and they were opposed to widow remarriage. Fine. So, what was the rationale? What was the rationale? Believed in the yes, they wanted to preserve their culture. Fine. They thought any reforms, see, even Tilak, when you go ahead, he was opposed to two particular things. Earlier, age of consent bill, was opposed to age of consent bill, which sought to increase the marriageable age of girls. Tilak opposed it, and also Tilak opposed the petition on abolition of untouchability. Fine. So, in 1916, while starting HRL, Tilak gave a statement, if God believes in untouchability, then I won't believe in God. But in 1917, he refused to sign the petition demanding the abolition of untouchability. And in 1890s, he had opposed the age of consent bill, which had the primary intention of preventing the child marriages. Tilak opposed it. What was his view? His view was that any changes to our traditions, culture or practices should originate from within the Indian society. We do not want an external influence or external interference in our own religious practices. Any changes or any reforms needed to our society and our practices, we will make sure it happens, and that has to originate from within the society. It should not be given to us by a foreigner, because Britishers, they are evil. So, whatever they do, see, Tilak comes from the times of Curzon. Fine. Curzon was an evil genius. Everything he did had a hidden agenda. So Tilak suspected, like it's not suspect, it was proven to him that whatever Britishers does, it has hidden agenda kind of a thing. Therefore, he did not want their interference in our religious practices. Similar was the case of Raja Radhakant Dev, but he did not suspect Britishers. He wanted changes to our society to originate from within the society, and he had this orthodox mindset. So whatever our practices are, it has a rationale. That is what he thought, Raja Radhakant Dev. And there has been one more question on him, Raja Radhakant Dev. So whether he was the founder of Tabernacle Society. In 2013, the question was asked. Fine. And UPSC has this like thing with reverse engineering. So whatever the wrong options are, they'll pick that. They frame questions based on that. Okay, I can give you n number of examples. So wrong options in this year becoming a questions in the upcoming years. Fine. So that is always there. For example, probably like, have you given the attempt in 2020? So copper slack, even in 2021, mitochondrial, DNA question, 2020, 2021, 2013 to 2019, they were interested with pollutants that were given in air quality index. 2019, the list got exhausted. 2020 onwards, they had entered into ambient air quality index. 2020 question on benzene. Fine. So 2021 question on lead. So this is how they ask questions. Fine. They have certain themes. If you identify the themes, you catch. I mean, you get there now. Fine. Don't let the examiner take you by surprise all the time. Okay. We need to enter into the examination hall expecting few things. Okay. So Raja Radhakant Dev, please write down 1 or 2 points about him. He was the advocate of women education, and also English education, women education, and also English education. Fine. Next point. Founder of Calcutta Textbook Society in 1817. Founder of Calcutta Textbook Society in 1817. Fine. Next point. 1817. Fine. Next. 1817. 17. Fine. Teenagers. The next point. Helped and funded David Hare in establishing Hindu College at Calcutta. Helped and funded David Hare in establishing Hindu College at Calcutta. Next point. Opposed abolition of Sati. Opposed abolition of Sati, comma, socially was conservative and orthodox. Socially was conservative and orthodox. Fine. Next point. He became the president of British Indian Association, British Indian Association, in bracket 1851, founded after merging Landholder Society in bracket 1838, Landholders Society or Zamindari Association 1838 and British Indian Society, British Indian Society 1843, founded by whom? William Adams. British Indian Society in bracket 1843, founded by William Adams. Fine. 1838. I have to write down fastly, or else will not be able to discuss or cover much of the things. Okay. So the next thing, you know about this Bengal British Indian Association. Raja Radhakant Sahib served as its president. So this association, they demanded political reforms from the Britishers. Fine. They demanded representation to Indians, expansion of legislative councils. Fine. So they demanded these things. Though they seem reformative in nature or progressive in nature, but it was a body of elites. They had this hidden agenda of like maintaining this class supremacy, or like what do you say, maintaining their influence, all these things. Okay. And now, which was one organization that was established at London by an Indian? East India Association, Dadabhai Naoroji. And before that, there was one more organization that was not just established by Dadabhai Naoroji, even Firoz Shah Mehta was its co-founder, London India Society. Please write down. London India Society. (1865), London India Society, 1865, founded by Dadabhai Naoroji, Firoz Shah Mehta, Umesh Chandra Banerjee and Syed Badruddin Tayyabji. Umesh Chandra Banerjee and Syed Badruddin Tayyabji. That covers all first three presidents of INC. Umesh Chandra Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji, Syed Badruddin Tayyabji, 1885, 1886, 1887 respectively. Fine. You all know Umesh Chandra Banerjee, W.C. Banerjee, 1885, Dadabhai Naoroji, 1886, Syed Badruddin Tayyabji, first Indian Muslim to become the president of INC, 1887. So all three people, they were the founders of this London India Society. Fine. So what was the intention of this London India Society? Objective?
Because they thought that they are not aware of it, so by informing them, they might take reforming measures or may take up interest in that.
Okay. Let me tell you like slight background of it. See, there were strong anti-India sentiments that were prevailing in London in the decade of 1860s. Strong anti-India sentiment. One, because of what happened in 1857. Fine. What happened in 1857? The decade of 1850s, you can call it as a decade of turbulence with regard to India. So there was Santhal rebellion, there was White mutiny, there was Sepoy mutiny, there was Indigo rebellion. It was a decade of turbulence, and because of these things, strong anti-India sentiments existed among the British public. So in order to counter that narrative that all Indians are not against Britishers, in order to present them the true picture, fine, of India, in order to educate them about the grievances of Indians, in order to gain their support for reforms to India, they established this organization mainly to educate the British public about the true conditions in India, about the grievances of Indian public, and to counter all the misconceptions regarding Indians. Fine. Once you counter the misconception, only then you can gain their support for reforms in India. So that was the main intention. So please write down. Objective. Objective. To counter the misconceptions, against Indians, in bracket you can write, due to the happenings like Sepoy Mutiny, close the bracket, and to educate British public about true situation in India, seek their support for reforms in India. Okay. So this organization, like this London India Society, it was submerged into East India Association. Fine. Next organization, please write on. East India Association, 1866. East India Association, 1866. You all know who founded it? Dadabhai Nauroji. Fine. So just write down. London India Society was submerged into it. London India Society was submerged into it. And there was one more added objective, that was like, no, it was not associated with this organization in specific. It was to voice out the Indian concerns in British press. Right. Voice out the Indians' concern in British press, to write articles in the British newspapers, etc. Okay. In 1869, next point, in 1869, they established branches in Bombay, Calcutta, and also Madras. Okay. So the next organization, any idea? Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. Some sources say 1867, some sources say 1870, but we'll go with 1867. Fine. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, 1867. Who is the founder of that? Mahadev Govind Ranade or Justice Ranade. Mahadev Govind Ranade or Justice Ranade. Please write down. He was the co-founder of Widow Remarriage Association. Co-founder of Widow Remarriage Association. Next point, he also founded Indian Social Conference in 1887, in bracket, Social Reform Cell of INC, Social Reforms Cell, CLL, Social Reforms Wing or Cell or Branch of INC, comma, it held session at the same venue after the annual session. It held session at the same venue after the annual session and is known for pledge movement, PLEDGE, pledge movement. What is pledge movement? Simple thing. Members will take oath that they will not promote child marriage, that they will not get their children married before the permissible age. That's the pledge movement. Very simple thing. So write down one more point. Pledge movement is against child marriage. Fine. So why do you think he is known as the father of Indian economics? Mahadev Govind Ranade. Were you aware of the fact that he was known as the father of Indian economics? Okay. Please write down. He is known as the father of Indian economics. He is known as the father of Indian economics. Mainly because of his advocacy of establishing modern industries in India, through his, write in double quotes, essays on Indian economics, through his essays on Indian economics. Fine. Right on the next point. He authored the book Rise of Maratha Power. And edited newspapers like Bombay and Indu Prakash. Not Hindu. Indu. Bombay and Indu Prakash. Fine. So, do you know about Gopal Hari Deshmukh? Lokitwadi, very good. So this person, Gopal Hari Deshmukh, in later days he also got associated with this newspaper. There is one prominent thing about Gopal Hari Deshmukh. Please write down in the margins. Gopal Hari Deshmukh, Lok Hitwadi, Second one, associated with Hindu Prakash newspaper. So, when we talk about Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, they, like many sources, they state, who is the founder? They state Mahadev Govind Ranade. There are two other persons. One is Gopal Vasudev Joshi plus S.H. Chiplankar. Fine. So, please write down Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. You just wrote down Mahadev Govind Ranade, right? So, besides that, Gopal Vasudev Joshi, G.V. Joshi, and S.H. Chiplankar, Chiplunkar. See this Gopal Vasudev Joshi, he was a lawyer and is associated with one most famous case. The case that is regarded as the first act of revolution in India after 1857, Ramosi Rebellion, led by Vasudev Balwant Phadke. He was the lawyer of Vasudev Balwant Phadke. G.V. Joshi, he defended Vasudev Balwant Phadke in court. Why I am telling you this fact is because of a thing which I will tell you in a minute or two. Fine. So, you will get to know why I emphasized on this fact. Okay. So, now when you talk about Ranade, his wife Ramabai Ranade, she will also assume a lot of importance. Fine. So, what do you think? What do you know about Ramabai Ranade? Lady social reformer. Lady social conference, very good. And then any other thing? Widow remarriage, women education, conventional things, generic things. So, please write down Ramabai Ranade. She established a branch of Arya Mahila Samaj. Arya Mahila Samaj. Second point, presided the first session of Indian Women Conference. Fine. Who founded this Arya Mahila Samaj? Pandita Ramabai. Don't get confused. I just told she established a branch of Arya Mahila Samaj, whereas the founder of Arya Mahila Samaj is Pandita Ramabai. Back then there was a debate, very simple debate. See, this education, this Panditgiri, it was all confined to men. And when Ramabai, she gained like vast amount of knowledge, when she was like qualified enough to profess things, should we refer to her as Pandit, or whether there is any other word? Now there is a debate like with regard to when like Pratibha Patil became our president. Pratibha Patil became our president. Should we refer to her as Rashtrapati or should we like devise a new term? Because that was the first instance. Similarly, in the case of Ramabai also, whether to call her as Pandit or is there any new term? So they started debating and then they came up with a term called as Pandita for Ramabai, a female Pandit. Fine. So a lot of interesting things. Right on. One more thing. She established first girls' high school in Pune. First girls' high school in Pune. Next point. Founded Seva Sadan. Founded Seva Sadan. Along with the help of Behramji Malbari. Behramji Malbari. She established Seva Sadan along with the help of Behramji Malbari. What is Seva Sadan?
Against child marriage. This one what you said.
Wait. I'll give you the options. Fine. Seva Sadan is the organization that prominently worked for. I'll give you 4 options. 1. Against child marriage. Against child marriage. Second one, orphanage or protection home or orphanage or a shelter for widows and destitute women. Third one, to promote nurse training. Fourth one, second option, gone. It was a training house for nurses. Don't go with the flow, hold back. See, UPSC is not asking you for rapid fire round. Fine. See, in most of the cases, when they ask for the term, the most neglected ones tend to be the solutions. So most weird one or something that sounds very different. Seva Sadan, the moment we hear that, Seva, service. So service of girl child, service of women. So this is what that comes to our mind. Fine. And we think conveniently. We have the habit of thinking in a convenient manner. We don't like to think out of box. The moment we see the second option, that's what happens. You don't even have the patience to go up to 4th option. Fine. And there is no reward for that. Fine. So you didn't even let me tell that. Jumped into conclusion. See, I was also I also had this kind of mindset during my first attempt, especially. I was whenever that I was something that I was familiar with, whenever that question came up, I used to just jump into the answers. I was looking for certain keywords. The moment I found it, I used to just jump into it. There was one question, who was the with regard to Annie Besant. That question was asked in my institute in 2013 itself in the regular test series. Annie Besant. They are given with reference to Annie Besant. They are given multiple options. And one option was she was the first Indian woman to become the president of INC. Listen, first women president INC, that's all. I did not even look at the term Indian. So convenient. I just jumped into it. So fine, it's okay that if you like Annie Besant, in your hearts you can give her the Indian citizenship because she fought along with Tilak during HRL. Fine, but she is not an Indian woman. We have to accept that fact. Technical thing. The moment we see Annie Besant, Theosophical Society, UPSC fooled us in 2016 very conveniently. Founder of first 2 options, very well known things. She led HRL along with Tilak. She led HRL along with Tilak. She served as the president of INC. And then third option, founded Theosophical Society. First two options, jumping with joy. Something that we know very well, that came in the question. Third option, Annie-Besant Theosophical Society, correct. But founder, incorrect. But see, she was the representative of Theosophical Society in India. She was just a branch head, Indian branch head. It was founded by Madam Blavatsky and Colonel Alcott. That's a different thing. In India, she came to India as a representative of Theosophical Society. They just founded a branch here. She was not the founder of the society as a whole. But the moment we see Theosophical Society, Annie-Besant, Theosophical, correct. We don't even have that patience. Fine. Because of all these things, my ranks, in my institute there was around 5,000 students when I joined in 2012. Fine. So, first test in the month of, my batch started on 22nd October 2012. So, first test happened in the month of November. My rank was in 5,000s. My marks was in negatives. So, I started searching for my roll number from the beginning. First 2,000 names numbers I could not find. Then I started from the end. Found it very soon. My numbers were in negative. I used to commit lot of such mistakes. Jumping into conclusions before I completely read the question, neglecting the keywords. Fine. All these things. I used to commit lot of mistakes. Then I tried to work on these tendencies of mine. These are tendencies that are inherent in our thought process. Fine. Self-analysis, self-control, they are key. See, the knowledge base that we have, it is very limited. It is very limited. We don't know answers for all 100 questions. We might be knowing answers for 50 to 60 questions. We might know some options of another 15 to 20 questions. 10 questions, I frankly accept in front of all of you that I have no idea. In many years, for 10 to 15 questions, I had no idea about what those questions were about. No idea. But still, starting from 13 till 18, I cleared 6 prelims in a row, went up to 3 interviews. So what I did was only one simple thing. I knew what my weaknesses were. Fine. The first test, 5,000. Second test, again in 4,000s, negative. First 6 tests, my marks were in negative. Then I understood, see, if you just, it's not about your knowledge. It's not just about your knowledge. You need to have knowledge, but knowledge is not everything. All knowledges are limited. See, it's not about having more content so that we can answer all the questions. It's about whatever you have within that limited set of knowledge, you have to manage those questions. You should learn to manage those questions. Fine. And see, it's not through the number of positives you clear this examination. It's by reducing the number of negatives. Fine. See, if you are successful in getting 53 correct and 25 wrong, where you will end up? If one question it goes wrong, one more question goes wrong, that year gone. Fine. So it's about, it's not about answering more and more questions. It's about committing as less mistakes as possible. Fine. In order to enhance your accuracy. How to do that? There are a lot of silly mistakes that we commit, just like we did now. Jumping into conclusions, being complacent, fine, over-reading, not reading the options completely, over-reading, complacency, when something that we know, if that comes as a question, we jump into joy. Probably, imagine 4 questions we had no idea about. 5th question, suddenly Annie-Besant comes up. So, that sort of lifeline to us. We jump into it. We don't even read the options completely. We mark, we go ahead. We consider it as a pakka answer, sure shot answer. But ultimately, we go wrong. See, this question will not just cost you minus 0.66. it will cost you 2.66 because you knew the answer and still you ended up losing it. Fine. And 5 such mistakes are enough to pull you back below the cutoff marks. So you should know where you are committing the mistakes. Fine. There are a lot of things which I want to share with you all. This is one thing. Don't jump into conclusions. Listen to it, read it, and then answer it. UPSC doesn't want the quickest finger first or rapid fire round. Fine. So take your time, read everything, then answer. Okay. So how can I learn the maximum utilization of limited knowledge? Okay. I'll tell you. That's why we are here. I'll tell you how to utilize and all. So in meanwhile, so please write down. So Ramabai Ranade was the advocate of women's voting rights. Women's voting rights, and led a movement in Bombay demanding it. In bracket 1921 and 22. Now this point will take us to another question of 2021. Fine. Were the women given the right to vote as per the Act of 1919 or Montagu-Chelmsford reforms? Were the women given the right to vote? No. They were given, but still why Ramabai Ranade was like protesting? If they had already had the voting rights, why would Ramabai Ranade protest in demand? All women. Okay. Okay. Similar to men. You are stating that similar to men. In 1919 voting rights were given on based on property qualifications, a lot of other things like your prior experience with legislative council, whether you are a zamindar, how much taxes you pay. Right? All these things were taken into consideration. Okay. Listen, there lies a catch. In 1919, they did not allow the women to vote, but there were protests. They started demanding. Annie Besant, she told, if you do not allow women to vote, they might turn against you. See, Annie Besant, 1916, she was against Britishers. She sympathized with Indians. She empathized with Indians. She led her own branch of HRL. In 1917, after August, she had this, Jnanodaya. So she suddenly became sympathetic towards Britishers. Fine. Later, she told Indians, accept the August Declaration of Montagu. Britishers are doing such a good things to you. Why don't you accept it and keep quiet? So why do you always want to fight against Britishers? And 1919, when they did not give the voting rights to women, Annie Besant, she told Britishers, it's good, it's better to give voting rights to Indian women, or else they might also become the active part of the Indian national movement. So she was advocating, she was helping Britishers to keep one half of Indian population away from the national movement. Right? That was one thing. And there was a committee called as Southborough Committee. Please write it down. Committee called as with regard to franchisee, with regard to the voting rights, whom to allow to vote, whom not to allow, what should be the qualifications. This was the franchisee committee which fixed the qualifications, voter qualifications. Fine. This committee also recommended no need to give voting rights to women, but Britishers, they decided otherwise. They left it to the provinces. They told provinces will decide whether to allow women to vote or not. Fine. They left the decision to the provinces whether to allow women to vote or not. They did not allow women to contest. See, please write down, as per the Act of 1919, women were not allowed to contest. Women were not allowed to contest the elections. Next point, the decision regarding the voting rights of women, were to be taken by the provinces. Fine. Okay. Next point, some provinces allowed women to vote in the elections. Some provinces allowed women to vote in the elections. Fine. And some princely states like Mysore in bracket 1922 gave voting rights for women. Rajkot in bracket 1923 gave full franchisee to women. Fine. Close the bracket. That was something revolutionary. Rajkot, whatever they did, and Rajkot also elected 2 women members into the legislature. Next point will clarify that. Right on the next point, voting rights for women were also based on the qualifications that were imposed on men. In bracket you can write in British provinces. In British provinces. Now you understood? No. Princely state. Princely state of Rajkot, that's what you wrote. Princely state of Mysore, princely state of Rajkot. They were the forerunners with regard to the voting rights of women. Fine. They were the first ones.
But when it comes to Mysore, they didn't give the full franchise, it was conditional.
It was conditional. Rajkot gave full franchisee.
So the first full franchise was given by Rajkot. But it was also conditional based on qualifications.
In Mysore it was conditional. Rajkot full franchisee. All women above a certain age, they were given right to vote. Above 25 years. They were no qualifications in Rajkot. That's what I mean by full franchisee. Fine? Sorry? You are explaining to her. Okay. Fine? Right on. And now, you might have there might be a question in your mind. Sir, if Act of 1919 did not allow women to contest elections, then how come we have first Indian women legislator Muthu Lakshmi Reddy being elected to the Madras legislature in 1927? If Act of 1919 did not allow it, how come she got elected to the legislature in 1927? If at all you knew about Muthu Lakshmi Reddy, this might have been the question at the back of your mind. Please write down. Muddyman Committee, Muddiman. Muddiman, no, Muddyman, Muddi. See, Muddiman will make it sound like an Indian. Buddhiman, Shaktiman, like that. This is Muddyman. Fine, Muddiman, Muddyman. Fine. And later you will start getting doubts. Guru, when did Britishers allow Indians to become the chairpersons of the committee? Such doubts are all see, these are the kinds of doubts that used to be asked by my this foundation batch students. So that's the reason I changed my pronunciation. Earlier I used to spell it like Muddiman, but now I learnt Muddyman. Fine. So this committee recommended allowing women to contest the elections in 1924. In 1924. Next point. In 1926. In 1926, British Parliament permitted Viceroy and the Indian government to amend the election rules and extend right to contest, extend the right to contest to women in India. Fine. In bracket you can write conditions apply. property qualifications, all these things, they still continued. Fine. So, one like minute information, you can write it in the margin. Kamala Devi Chattopadhyaya was the first woman to contest the elections unsuccessfully. Kamala Devi Chattopadhyaya was the first woman to contest the elections unsuccessfully in 1926. Unsuccessfully in 1926. Fine. Next point. Muthu Lakshmi Reddy. Muthu Lakshmi, MUTTHU LAKSHMI. Muthu Lakshmi Reddy was the first Indian woman to get elected in bracket 1927. 1927. Now, with regard to the question of 2021, now you know the first option that they gave is wrong. Fine. Were all women allowed to vote? No. First thing, there was qualifications, there were conditions implied, and women, were they allowed to contest as per the Act of 1919? No. Later, after lot of dramas, they were allowed. And you have to keep this in mind. See, in India, in 1919, they took a progressive decision. They told provinces will decide whether to allow the women to vote or not. That will be decided by the provinces. Fine. That was a very progressive step, because England, that might seem to you like a progressive society, advanced society, but it was in 1918 they allowed the British women also to vote. Just 1 year before that, they allowed British women also to vote, and that too had conditions. They did not allow all women to vote. Fine. They should be aged above 25 years, and there were a lot of other qualifications, property conditions, etc., for allowing the women to vote. So immediately in 1919 only they allowed Indian women to vote. That was left to the provinces. So this was a very progressive measure. They might seem very like they might have this progressive outlook, advanced nation outlook, etc., but it was in 1918 only they allowed their women to vote also. Okay. They did not allow the women to contest in 1918 in England, because the members, they are referred to as honorables, honorable MP. They could not address a woman as honorable. That's the reason they did not allow the women to contest. Fine. Look at the gender bias. Not only India, this patriarchy was there in England also. Today, like those countries might seem like a equal society or gender neutral society, but they had this biases 100 years ago. Fine. But as a country ruled by the Britishers, we have taken forward the tradition. We still keep patriarchy close to our hearts. We protect it. Fine. That's a paradox with Indian society. Can't help. There are a lot of things. See, we like Britishers very much. These Britishers, you wrote on one point regarding Raja Radhakant Deb. He was the chairperson of Calcutta Textbook Society. See, these Britishers, after 1765, the main thing they did was studying Indian texts with regard to science, with regard to religion, with regard to every aspect of life. So you know about William Jones, right? William Jones, Gita Govinda, he translated it to English. Charles Wilkins translated Bhagavad Gita to English. Fine. So they started reading our religious texts, not only religious texts, all other kind of texts. scientific texts like the works of Charaka, Shushruta, Aryabhata, Brahmagupta, there are all these things. They translated them into English. They like expanded their set of knowledge. See, this Western society was one of the most orthodox and superstitious society. Fine. Even in 19th century, they believed that Earth is the center of the universe and sun rotates around the Earth. Even in 19th century, they believed that. At least we were like, despite being an orthodox society and a conservative society, at least we knew that Earth is round in shape and sun is the center of universe. We had this concept of Navagrahas since times immemorial. We were like scientifically very forward. Fine. These Britishers, they took all our knowledge. And this Hindu college in Calcutta, there were a lot of other institutions they established just to translate. Fine. So now, even today, there is something called as post-colonial mindset. We have this colonial overhang, or what do you call, colonial hangover till date. Fine. So, before the arrival of Britishers, what did we use to brush? Charcoal, neem sticks, salt, neem, lemon. Fine. We used to brush using that only. Britishers came, they gave us Colgate, toothpaste and tooth powders. We started using it. We were very happy. We thought their society as advanced society. We started replicating all their practices. We were happy to use tooth powders initially, and then they advanced to toothpaste. We also adopted to toothpaste. And now, what is the recent trend with regard to the toothpaste? Charcoal. Charcoal activated टूथपेस्ट. आपका टूथपेस्ट में नमक है, like neem shakti, Colgate Veda Shakti. What is this Veda Shakti? Where did it take it from? Understood? They took all our good things and now they are giving back to us. Fine. This is what is happening. This is like what we call as colonial hangover. And I'll give you one more prominent thing that exists in our society. See, we think the fair color or the fair tone of the skin as something worth of having. So, if they have fair tone of skin, it's good. We consider them as good people, brilliant minds. Fair tone plus a spectacle, deadly combination. By default, we will assume you are a brilliant student. Fine. And color like me. See, just before coming to Delhi, I shaved my beard because I don't want you people to think me as a culprit. Students in Bangalore, they know me, what kind of person I am. But here, if I come with beard and all, like people, they don't know how they think here. That's the reason. I wanted to look little more decent. That's the reason. Trimmed everything and came. There is one famous thing in India. Everybody wants to look fair, look white. Fine. So therefore we have fair ever, fair and lovely, fair and handsome. After like the verdict of, yes, Black Lives Matter. Fine. So they changed nomenclature. But before glow and lovely, below glow and lovely, formerly fair and lovely, they print it even today. Fine. So, why fair? Because we regard it is something worth replicating, something worth having. So who made us think like that? That white is superior than black? Britishers. And we still have that colonial mindset, post-colonial hangovers mindset that still prevails with us. Nowadays, slight changes are happening, but still the sales of glow and lovely has not decreased. Fine. So, some attempts are being they are being made to change the mindsets, but it doesn't happen. See, this colonial mindset, it is very deep rooted within our minds. See, we don't know it is there, but we think in, we think in that direction. I'll tell you a few more examples. See, earlier, during the times of independence or before independence, there was, you all know, there was like 28-month rule of INC, 1937 to 39. Fine, 28-month rule of INC. They formed ministries in provinces. We'll come to that later. But there was one incidence in Bombay province. There was a minister called as K. M. Munshi. This person, he misused CID to shadow his political opponents. And after that, everybody looked at him as villain for misusing his power for personal purposes. Fine. And till like 2014, corruption was a very big issue. Corruption was a very big issue. So, after 2014, no corruption in India. Fine? No corruption in India. India against corruption. This Colgate, 2G, 4G, everything. Corruption in everything. After 2014, no corruption in India. And to be frank, now, if you are a corrupt, if a corrupt politician or a corrupt person is found, we don't like, earlier they used to socially boycott him. In the upcoming elections, he used to be defeated, like people used to like shy away from relating with him. All these things existed. But now, there was one famous politician from Karnataka. He was caught by ED. He was imprisoned in Tihar jail. The jail, it is known as one of the highest jails in India. Fine. He was imprisoned in Tihar jail. He came back to Bangalore. Such a heroic reception from airport till the city of Bangalore, 40 kilometers. Such a heroic procession, as if he had won a gold medal for India in archery. Fine. Heroic procession. I was like wondering, Guru, did he go to Tihar for achieving something, to take part in jail games? No. Did he win any medal for India? No. But still, was celebrated. Suddenly he got promotion also in politics. Tihar is like qualification. Once you have that qualification in your resume, promotion. He got promoted. I was wondering, Guru, like, see, then I had this dream. I want to go to Tihar once. Because I might get promotion. Fine. Second dream, I want IT raid to happen on my home. Two small dreams. One Tihar, one IT raid on my home. When can it happen?
Why this video? Video is going on.
Now I am below poverty line. Fine. If they watch this video, sir, you are in Delhi. They'll come to my home. Okay. Let them come. Welcome. No issues. So, what were we discussing? See, I have this problem. I like, frankly confess that I have this problem. I usually get like, sort of get. Okay, this women franchisee thing. Okay, it took me to all these things. Fine. So, come back. Come back. So, what is the next organization? We were discussing about Ramabai and then we. Okay, fine. So, come back. Please write on the next association. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. After Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. We are after Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. Please write on the next association. Please write on Indian. What happened? You are laughing at me. See, I frankly told you I have this problem. I get carried away sometimes. Fine. So, nothing to laugh at. Fine. What was the name of the association that was founded in 1875? Hmm? 1876, whatever you told is right. Any idea? Shishir Kumar Ghosh, Indian League. Such a simple thing. 1875, Indian League, Shishir Kumar Ghosh. Indian League. Fine. So, do you know about like any newspaper that he published? Famous newspaper associated with Vernacular Press Act, Amrit Bazar Patrika, along with his brother Motilal Ghosh. He published Amrit Bazar Patrika with his brother Motilal Ghosh. Okay. He wrote a book. He authored a book. He authored a book. He authored a book called as Lord Gauranga. Lord Gauranga. Lord Gauranga on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Fine. And then next association, 1876, Indian Association or Indian National Association. 1876, Indian Association or Indian National Association. Fine. So now who are the founder of this association? Surendranath Banerjee and Anand Mohan Bose. Surendranath Banerjee and Anand Mohan Bose. Fine. So Surendranath Banerjee, what do you know about him? What was the newspaper he published? Bengali. Newspaper. Surendranath Banerjee published a newspaper, Bengali. Wrote a book, The Nation in the Making. Nation in the Making. Nation in the Making. And he presided 2 sessions of INC. Presided 2 sessions of INC, 1895 and 1902. 1895, 1902. Fine. Next point, he organized National Convention and collection of national fund with an intention to start All India Association, All India Political Association. Fine. Next point, first Indian journalist to be imprisoned. Not Vernacular Press Act, on sedition. First Indian journalist to be imprisoned on the ground of sedition. There are the three prominent journalists. It started with Surendranath Banerjee, next it went to Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and next Mahatma Gandhi. Write on in margins the other two prominent journalists imprisoned on the ground of sedition were Bal Gangadhar Tilak, in 1897, Bal Gangadhar Tilak in 1897, fine, and Mahatma Gandhi, other two journalists who were imprisoned on the grounds of sedition, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Mahatma Gandhi. Fine. So, come back to Surendranath Banerjee. What happened, gentlemen? You only. Find out. Find out. Assignment. After Chauri Chaura. After Chauri Chaura. Fine. Read on. With regard to Surendranath Banerjee, he walked out of INC. And founded Liberals Federation. And I forgot you to tell the most important point. Emerged Indian Association with INC in 1886. Emerged Indian Association with INC in 1886. Fine. See. Wait, I'll tell you. Wait. Few things. The first thing is, he was a two-time civil servant. He cleared the examination twice. Fine. First time, he was disqualified on the issue of age. In India, at that point of time, date of birth was not taken into account. Fine. 9 months that you spend in your mother's womb was also added to your age. That was the tradition at that point of time. Whereas Britishers, it was the date you came to the earth. You came out of your mother's womb. For Britishers that mattered. For Indians, plus 9 months. Whatever time you spent in your mother's womb, even that was added to your age. So this difference with regard to age was there and he was disqualified. See, Britishers, they did not like Indians entering into civil services. Fine. In 1864, one Indian, he entered successfully, Satyendranath Tagore. Next 3 years, no Indians. In 1868, a famous batch came out, and in that batch, 4 Indians entered into civil services, and one of them was Surendranath Banerjee. Fine. Along with Surendranath Banerjee, there were 3 others, and one of them, you know him very well, Ramesh Chandra Dutt. Fine. R.C. Dutt, author of the book Economic History of India, president of Lucknow session of INC. Fine. So Ramesh Chandra Dutt. Okay. So Surendranath Banerjee, he was disqualified in 1868. He appeared in the exam again. He cleared it. He entered into service again. And Britishers did not like this attitude of Surendranath Banerjee. And Britishers did not like any Indian entering into civil services. They were looking for the grounds, even the silliest reason to disqualify a person, disqualify an Indian. And this time they got a flimsy ground based on which they disqualified him. He was disqualified because he did not know how to ride the horses. So he was disqualified again. So Surendranath Banerjee got very angry. Imagine that rage. Clearing the civil services examination twice and still not getting the service. He was very angry. He was an educated Indian. Angry, educated Indian was a threat to the Britishers. They created one themselves. And this person was a learned person, and he was very much attracted towards a contemporary event called as Italian unification. So whatever was happening in Italy under the leadership of Mazzini, Garibaldi, Cavour, he was like very much interested towards it. He was inspired by Mazzini and his Young Italy organization. And now he wanted to create one such organization. He wanted one. He wanted to create an all India organization. Earlier to that, whatever organizations existed, they were just provincial in nature, regional in nature. There was Bengal British India Society, Zamindari Association confined to Bengal. There was Pune Sarvajanik Sabha confined to Pune. And Indian League, name was Indian, but its presence was mainly in Bengal. Fine. So he wanted to establish an all India organization where the leaders from different parts of country could come together, discuss, and could carry on their movement against the Britishers in a united manner. That was his intention. So in 1876, he established Indian National Association. Fine. There is one more organization, National Indian Association, founded by a lady called as Mary Carpenter at London. And this organization, the objective is ulta, to make Indians loyal towards the Britishers, especially the Indian youth who were at London. She wanted to preach loyalty to them. Mary Carpenter, National Indian Association. Don't get confused. Indian National Association, Surendranath Banerjee. Fine. And now, Britishers, they were alarmed by this. Whatever Surendranath Banerjee was doing, they were alarmed by this. I told you, educated, angry Indian is a threat to them. So they wanted to derail the efforts of Surendranath Banerjee. Surendranath Banerjee went ahead. In 1883, he organized the National Convention. He invited leaders from different parts of India, from Madras, from Bengal, from every other province. He invited leaders. He organized a National Convention. He sought their opinions. I am planning to start an All India Association. I would like to associate with all of you. What is your opinion? What is your thought? He discussed with all of them. And for Britishers, it was an alarm. They did not want that to happen. Fine. And in 1884, he organized collection of National Fund with an intention of establishing a national organization. In 1885, December, he wanted to organize second National Convention. First convention happened in 1883. In 1885, he wanted to organize a second National Convention. Britishers were alarmed by this. Fine. An All India Association established by an angry Indian, that too an educated one, it might be against them. That is when Britishers allowed A.O. Hume to go ahead and establish Indian National Congress, December 1885. Surendranath Banerjee was shocked, he was taken aback. He did all the efforts, he organized national convention, he invited leaders from different parts of country just to establish an All India Association. Britishers, they overtook his idea, fine, and they established one before him. He was shocked by it. Therefore, he refused to attend the first session of INC because that was his brainchild, All India Association. And by 1886, he realized, even if I keep trying to establish an All India Association, Britishers will derail all his efforts. Therefore, he thought it is better to go and join INC. Already there is an All India Association. Instead of duplication of efforts, instead of wasting my efforts and energy, he went and joined Indian National Congress, 1886. He merged this Indian Association with Indian National Congress. What do you know about the other person, Anand Mohan Bose?
He belongs to the Arya Samaj,
Brahmo Samaj. If he adopted Brahmoism. And this person, I have to tell you this. See, you all know there was Brahmo Samaj established by Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Initially it was Sabha, later it became Samaj. Fine. So, Brahmo Samaj, after Raja Ram Mohan Rai, it was under the leadership of Devendranath Tagore. Later, in 1830s and in 1840s, one more person, he entered into Brahmo Samaj, Keshuv Chandra Sen. This person, he was very radical for his times. He was a strong proponent of, like, he was very against this child marriage. He was strong proponent of this widow remarriage. He was against caste system. He conducted intercaste dinings. He promoted intercaste marriages. For his time, he was very radical. And because of his nature of activities, he was very heroic in nature. Because of his nature, of his attitude and activities, he got a very huge fan following, especially among youth. The youth in the Bengal region, they were attracted towards him because he is very heroic, like that individualism, that kind of attitude, daring, like all attracted a lot of youth. And now, Keshuv Chandra Sen, this person, he took Brahmo Samaj even outside Bengal. Earlier it was just confined to Bengal. And now, the popularity of Keshuv Chandra Sen helped Brahmo Samaj to expand into other areas. And this Keshuv Chandra Sen, he was regarded as one of the avatars of Vishnu. His followers thought he is Kalki, the person, 10th avatar of Vishnu, who comes on white horse. They assumed that him to be an incarnation of Vishnu. He was behaving like that. He had this like sort of mystic powers to attract everyone. So now, one point of time when his popularity was at its peak, this person, he committed a mistake. He got his daughter married to Raja of Cooch Behar. Fine. The problem was, the age of his daughter was 11. He was a staunch opponent of child marriage. But when he got the opportunity, he got his daughter married to the Raja of Cooch Behar. Now all his followers, who considered him as the avatar of Vishnu, they were all devastated. Fine. See, and in between, he split the Brahmo Samaj also. Devendranath Tagore, he remained with Brahmo Samaj. That was the ancient form, he called it as Adi Brahmo Samaj. This person, he established something called as Brahmo Samaj of India. Our Anand Mohan Bose, He entered into Brahmo Samaj of India. He was one of the disciple of Keshuv Chandra Sen. And later, when Keshuv Chandra Sen did this, his followers, they lost belief in Keshuv Chandra Sen. And they established something called as Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. No God with us. Right? Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. And Anand Mohan Bose was one of its founding member. Right? So, and Anand Mohan Bose, he was the first Indian wrangler. First Indian wrangler. Wrangler is a academic qualification. Fine. Academic recognition. Fine. Given by the British universities. Given by the British universities. Fine. See, those who qualified all 3 years of graduation with maths, those who qualified all 3 years of graduation with maths in their very first attempt in Cambridge, they were called as wranglers. He was the first Indian to clear all the subjects throughout his 3 years of graduation in his first attempt itself. Right. Anand Mohan Bose, first Indian wrangler. Okay. So, Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. What's the time? 9:30. After 10 minutes. See, before coming to Delhi, I met with Ashish sir, Manjunath sir. I just asked them, sir, how is the crowd? How are the students? They were highly appreciative of you. They told, yes, they were very highly appreciative of you. They told, sir, they are just study minded. Sir, you take class for 9 hours. They don't even ask for break. I was like,
We asked for break, but you can continue for 10 hours.
so I was like taken aback. See, back in Bengaluru, I was known for this like prolonged hours of lectures. So there was like many days where my classes, they went up to 10 hours. Fine, went up to 10 hours in a day. Morning 9 till evening 7. So you attended that? Marathon. Okay. So every year, like every batch, I take them like 1 or 2 topics that require continuity. I'll take them for 7 to 8 hours of class. So I thought like this template, whatever you have, that suits me. That you are not bored of attending the prolonged hours of classes, and I am there to teach you for prolonged hours. I was very happy to come and meet you all. Literally, I was very happy. And now they told me that, sir, they don't even ask for breaks. I was like, sir, see, in Bangalore, my students, I call them as corrupt students, because exactly after 1.5 hours, they'll stop answering to my questions. And see, I am the kind of a person who derive my energy from the crowd. The more you respond, more energetic I will be, more information I will be able to give out. If you do not respond, like even my energy levels will go down. After 1.5 hours, just like an alarm, they used to stop answering. And I used to ask them, what happened? They used to tell, sir, break, in a chorus. I was like, and many a times, there were many instances, I never gave break, even during a 4-hour lectures. So, I am such an inhuman person, cruel person. With you, since it is the first day, I am going to be kind enough. Fine. I will give the breaks. But, miss you, sir. They are missing my offline classes, it seems. Bangalore. What happened, gentlemen? See, you will get to know me. Don't worry. It's still like very early. Fine. So, sir, we did not have the breakfast. Yo. Do you think I had? This is to keep my throat warm, because like I was supposed to come to Delhi after economic classes, but last week I could not take the classes in Bangalore because I had an injury. I was hospitalized for 5 days. So like because of prolonged hours of standing, I had like lumbar spine issues. I was like hospitalized. I could not, I was in complete bed rest for last 10 days, and then I immediately came here. I cancelled all my classes, and that's the reason I'm sitting in class, or else I never used to sit in my classes. I'm taking intermittent rest because of that reason. Fine. Even today there is a bandage there, and I was scared to come to Delhi because I thought it will be like lot of heat here, and in just before I was like about to board the flight, there was news that there is a heat wave in Delhi. Temperature might spike up to 46 degree, the warmest, the hottest April in the history of last 73 years. All this news was coming. 122 years. Oh my God. So I was scared. What will happen? And even now I am scared, because like to change my bandages I need to go back to Bangalore itself, and like I will be here for another 5 days. So that would be critical. That's the reason. So fine, we'll take a break. We'll take a break and just write down a name, a small name. We are done with this Indian association. Please write down the next association. Madras Mahajan Sabha. Just write down the name so that I should know where I left off. Brahmo Samaj later. Right. The socialist reform movements, another class. Now we will continue with pre-Congress organizations. And was it boring? Fine. Okay. Fine. Like what's the time? 9:45. Okay. Shall we take the break? Like how much time you usually get? 10 minutes. My God, you people are really good. In Bangalore, the minimum break they take is around 20 minutes. Hey, now you showed the real you. Okay, so fine, like we'll take break till 10:10. Fine, 10:10 we'll meet back. 10:10 till 12. Sorry, what happened? Big break for a first time. Keep revising. You finish your refreshments, come back, keep revising whatever we discussed. That's one productive way of using it. Fine. Meanwhile, I will keep revising my notes. Whatever I am about to teach you, you also revise. Sir, you are insulting us. We are offline students of Bangalore. Hey, I am just telling truth about you. Truth can never be insulting. Back. Shall we start? My Bangalore students are angry. Lot of messages. They are like, ultimately you have to come back to us. So I have to. Okay. You are written about Madras Mahajan Sabha, right? Okay. So, who are its founders? I've become a dictionary man. Good to hear that. Okay. So, there is one important thing, like UPSC was like interested in these organizations very much. So, they used to give match the followings. So, like they used to ask us to sort the odd one out. So, among these were the founders of these organizations, and these organizations which have multiple founders, they assume sort of importance, like this Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. We all know about Ranade, but not about other two members. And also like this Madras Mahajan Sabha, there was a question, like they had given three names. I think in 2017, they had given three names: P. Ananda Charlu, Subramanya Iyer, and they had given one more name, Gazulu Lakshmi Narasimha Chetty. So they had given three names, and students think that probably he might also be the founder. Sir might have forgotten. What's wrong if you accept him as the founder? So they think out of box, and despite knowing the correct answer, they commit a mistake. Fine. So please write on three founders. Veera Raghavacharya, Veera Raghavacharya. See, 1920 we will talk about his brother Vijaya Raghavacharya, Nagpur session along with Gandhi. That is Vijaya, this is Veera. Don't get confused. Okay. Veera Raghavacharya, P. Ananda Charlu, P. Ananda Charlu, and G. Subramanya Iyer. G. Subramanya Iyer. Fine. Here, these two persons, that is like Veera Raghavacharya and G.S. Iyer, they together founded two newspapers. That is like kind of national newspaper to all of us. So, the Hindu. Fine. And G.S. Iyer continued with one local newspaper, regional newspaper, Swadesh Mitran. Fine. Two newspapers they together founded. It is not just G.S. Iyer alone, it is Hindu and Swadesh Mitran. They founded it together. Now Hindu, like you all know, if you look at the ownership of Hindu, it says Kasturi and Sons. They are the owners. What happened in between? See, these two people, this Veera Raghavacharya and G.S. Iyer, they had differences, lots of differences. G.S. Iyer, he was sort of militant, he wanted rapid reforms, fine. Whereas Veera Raghavacharya, his name is Veera, but he was not so Veera, fine. He was a sort of moderate, fine. He had like slightly, he had faith in Britishers. He thought they will reform us, we have to give them time, and we have to adopt, we have to wait. That was his approach. He was more liberal in his thought process. Whereas G.S. Iyer, he was very militant, he wanted rapid changes. There was conflict in their views. And G.S. Iyer continued with Swadesh Mitran. Veera Raghavacharya took over the Hindu, and in 1904 he sold it to Kasturi Iyengar. 1904 sold the newspaper, and till now it is under the ownership of Kasturi and Sons. So 1904 it happened. And P. Anandacharlu, this person, he funded these two newspapers. He funded the starting of these two newspapers. Okay. Give some information about how APEC classes is helpful for prelims, because at the beginning of the class your mic was off. Oh. See, I just told about myself. I am telling them, I just told about myself. And there was nothing with regard to, nothing important with regard to examination or the course. I just introduced myself, so you don't have to worry. Fine. So, see, APEC classes, while as the name suggests, it is for prelims. It is to help you score good marks in prelims. I will tell you more about it, how to utilize it and all, but too much of strategy in one class, it will lead to indigestion. So, wait, things will come to you, you will have to wait, that is all. Okay. So, now next association. P. Anandacharlu. Okay. So, P. Anandacharlu, please write down one more point about him. He founded Triplicane Literary Society. Triplicane Literary Society. Fine. And now let us proceed to the next like, when was this organization founded? 1884. 1 year before the formation of INC. There is next organization, write down, Bombay Presidency Association. Purpose same, to seek reforms from the Britishers, voice out the regional grievances, to act as a pressure group as a whole. See, reforms, the major set of reforms, even INC till 1930, it was political reforms, expand the legislature, Indianization of civil services, Indianization of legislatures. So, they had like majorly legislative and like administrative reforms. They demanded these things. Only after 1930s, they started demanding with regard to other things, the welfare of laborers, farmers, etc. Karachi Resolution, that is the first landmark. Till that, till 1930, whatever INC demanded, whatever all the other organizations demanded, it was mainly with regard to the legislative and administrative reforms. Fine. Here and there, we can find a small changes. For example, that organization we wrote down, British Indian Association, they demanded one small thing, out of box. They demanded abolition of salt tax. Abolition of salt tax. That is one out of box thing that they demanded. Apart from that, nothing out of box. Everything regarding the legislative and administrative reforms. That's all. Okay. So next organization, Bombay Presidency Association, 1885. Bombay Presidency Association, 1885. Who are the founders? Kashinath Telang, KT Telang or Kashinath Telang, Firoz Shah Mehta, and Syed Badruddin Tayyabji. Syed Badruddin Tayyabji. See, you wrote down about one person who was associated with Seva Sadan, Behramji Malbari. There is one common thing between Behramji Malbari and KT Tilang. Fine. Behramji Malbari was the one who opposed, like who supported age of consent bill and even supported Ramabai, that famous question of UPSC. Even supported Ramabai. And KT Tilang was her advocate in that case. When she was fighting against the law, KT Tilang was her advocate. So please write down. He was the legal counsel in the landmark Ramabai case. Legal counsel in the landmark. What? Even she supported her. See, Behramji Malbari and those two ladies, they supported her. He was the legal counsel, lawyer. Fine? Yes.
She's the one who's the first lady doctor. Is she the one?
No. She was not the first lady doctor. She was the first lady, like practicing doctor. Yes. See, I am not very good at Hindi. Like I have forgotten a lot of Hindi in these 5 years. So, and you speak like a bullet. So, for me to comprehend, it takes a lot of time. Fine. So, fine. Write on. Next point. Below KT Tilang, he was the member of Hunter Commission on Education. He was the member of Hunter Commission on Education. And served as the member of Bombay Legislative Council. And served as the member of Bombay Legislative Council. Served as the member of Bombay Legislative Council. Come on. Translated Bhagavad Gita to English. Translated Bhagavad Gita to English. And he was an Indologist. He was an Indologist. 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 Who is an Indologist? A person who has interest in Indian culture, who does a systematic study of Indian culture, tradition, etc. Indologist. Fine. And then right on the next point, he went on to become the judge of Bombay High Court. He went on to become the judge of Bombay High Court. Fine. Read on about like Syed Badruddin Tayyabji. Syed Badruddin Tayyabji. First point, founding member and the first Muslim president of INC. Founding member and the first Muslim president of INC. In bracket 1887 Madras. Fine. See, when INC was founded, do you know who hosted the first annual meeting of INC? Hosted. Who gave them the place? Who welcomed them? It was Bombay Presidency Association. So later they merged Bombay Presidency Association within INC. Fine. The first session of INC was hosted by Bombay Presidency Association. Okay. So write on the first point, second point. He was the first Muslim to be the judge and even CJ, judge and CJ, Chief Justice of Bombay High Court. Sorry? CJ, Chief Justice. First Indian Muslim to be the Chief Justice of the High Court. Ranade is not a Muslim. Okay. So, write on about next organization, INC. You know a lot of things about it. So, all 72 members, like who is the founder of INC? Very good. All 72 members who attended the first session of INC are its founders. The prominent ones are AOU, Dadabhai Nauroji, Syed Badruddin Tayyabji, Firoz Shah Mehta, they are the prominent ones. It's not just AOU. Fine. That's a popular misconception we have. Okay. Is not the lone founder of INC. Okay. So, write on. In 1889, next point. British Committee of INC was established. British Committee of INC was established, and in 1891 they started publishing a weekly journal. They started publishing the weekly journal called as India. Called as India. Fine. So now, with regard to INC, the first band of leaders who dominated INC for the first 20 years, what are they known as? Moderates. Fine. Right on the next heading. Moderates. Moderates. What is their philosophy? P3. Spectrum. Prayer, petition and protest. That's all. Weekly journal called as India. That's all. I'll give you two more. Write on. Ideology. P3 plus P2. P3 that you already have. Prayer, petition and protest plus P2. Politically educate the Indians. Politically educate the Indians. Political connections with British. Political connections with British to gain reforms. To gain reforms. Fine. Now, A simple doubt. Why these moderate leaders, why they adopted this method like P3, P2, why not like revolutionary method or
It was in the making for that to come, for mass revolution to come. Because the feeling of nationalism has
see, revolution is not about mass revolution.
revolution radical methods. I'm trying to rephrase my words.
Yes.
They didn't want to make it just like abhi shuru kiya aur abhi khatam kiya. So they wanted to make it a long run momentum, and for that to develop, first they need to politically educate and develop the sense of national that we belong to one country. So the
Okay.
foundation has to be laid upon.
Politically educate Indians and to lay the platform.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other reason?
Sir, I think कि क्योंकि जैसे ये एजुकेटेड लोग थे, तो
हम्म?
इन्होंने जो भी मतलब लिटरेचर जो टेक्स्ट पढ़े उससे मोटिवेटेड थे, तो इन्हें फिलहाल ये टूल ज़्यादा बेहतर कर रहे थे अपने मैसेजेस स्प्रेड करने के लिए या बातचीत करने के लिए rather than bringing any kind of revolution at that moment.
Okay. They were elitist in nature. Okay. That's quite convenient to say. They did not believe in Britishers, you can say they believed in British Constitution. Fine. They believed in British Constitution, the system they have. Fine. That's the reason even after independence we had no problem to continue their their cornerstones like the parliamentary system, all these things. They had faith in British Constitution. First thing. This is the reasons for them to follow the moderate philosophy. First reason is they believed in British Constitution. Right. So the second thing, see, peaceful methods are embraced by all. Fine. Peaceful methods are embraced by the masses. If you resort to violence, how many of us has the guts to take up the gun and start shooting, to hurl the bomb at others? Fine. So that's the reason. Peaceful methods, it can be embraced by the masses, irrespective of their social status, irrespective of the region they are staying, religion they belong to, language they speak. Peaceful methods can be easily adopted by more people. Okay. Third thing, the national movement was in the stage of infancy. Fine. It has just learned to walk, learned to crawl. National movement was in the stage of infancy. Fine. Okay. It was just like a sapling which has just sprouted out and started growing. Now the main objective or goal of moderates was to protect it till it can stand on its own, till it becomes a tree. They wanted to protect that sapling. Fine. So that was their intention. Okay. And they are called as moderates because of their demands, the kind of demands they made. Fine. Their political demands. Fine. What were their political demands? Okay. Let's organize them. Okay. Please write down the political demand of moderates. Yes, they were highly educated lawyers and oligarchs. They did their education and practice etc. in UK. So they believe in their system and methods. Fine. So well said. Next thing, demands or political demands. What were their political goals or demands? Please write down. Legislative demands. Legislative demands. Fine. Administrative demands. Civil liberties. Civil liberties. Welfare demands. And then lastly, explanation for drain of wealth. Explanation for drain of wealth. So let's write down there. Legislative demands, and correlatively we will write how Britishers tried to satisfy it. Fine. So whether their demands were met or addressed by the Britishers, we will see that also. So the first thing with regard to the legislative demands they made was they sought expansion of legislatures both at center and at the provincial levels. Fine. Expansion of legislature at center and also at provincial levels. Okay. They wanted more members. Earlier there were just like 8 members in that council for entire India. Right now how many MPs we have? Gone in prelims. 545 plus 245, that is the number of MPs we have. I am not asking you for the members of Lok Sabha, I asked you MPs. Fine. So don't jump, have patience. Okay. So earlier there were just 8 members, and how can these 8 members legislate effectively for such a large country with so much of diversity? So these people they demanded, please give us, please expand the legislatures both provincial and at central level, at least we can discuss. Fine. See, these legislatures, they are just, these bodies were advisory in nature, with or without their consult. The Viceroy and his he can legislate the policies. It was just advisory in nature, they were just recommendatory in natures. Fine. They did not have any real powers. Okay. And next, they demanded more Indian representation. They called it as Indian Legislative Council, ILC. In 1853 when they founded it, they called it as ILC. Fine. So moderates were like, boss, in the name it has Indian, whereas in council there is no Indian, please add. Fine. See, we Indians, we are aware about the problems that exist in our system and what are the solutions needed. So we will be better placed than a foreigner to debate, discuss and to provide solution to the issues that we face. So that is the reason we demanded the inclusion of more Indians in the Legislative Council. And these moderates, you all know they were like Western educated individuals, they studied in UK, and these people, they were fond of democracy. Like in London, elections used to be conducted in regular intervals, and those who got the majority, they formed the government. They were mesmerized with the system of democracy. They liked that. So that is the reason Congress, since its inception, they adopted this democratic ideals. Every year in the annual session of INC, elections used to happen to elect the president. They were attracted toward this system, and they demanded, sir, in England you have elections. Similarly, in India also conduct the elections. Fine. India is ruled by England. So you have a system there, give it to us, we like it very much. Fine. And then they were like, boss, you collect lot of money from us as revenue, taxes, everything, but you never even ask us how that money is being spent. Fine. You have a system called as budget. You have a system called as budget. What is budget? It is a simple document which consists of income and expenditure, that is all. And in this budget, Indians, it was totally out of control of Indians. So Britishers, they used to collect the revenue, they used to spend it on whatever they want. We had no say, we had no right with regard to any of our budgetary elements. So moderates, they told, boss, we want to ask questions on the budget. They were spending too much on railways, modernizing the military, royal darbars. So they were like, boss, we want to ask questions on the budget. So things are being spent, the resources, valuable resources are being spent on unnecessary things. So we want to ask questions and we want to pass resolutions on the budget, and the main thing is we want to discuss the budget, boss. Moderates told the Britishers, fine, to ask question, to pass resolutions on the budget and to discuss the budget. Okay. These were the legislative demands of moderates. And Britishers, they responded by Indian Council Act of 1892, fine, Council Act of 1892. So see, these moderates, I told you, they had a lot of faith in British system of governance, fine. So these moderates, they were loyal to the Britishers, they were very loyal to the Britishers, and before every session, before the commencement of every session, they used to pray the national anthem of Britishers, England, and in the beginning of the session and towards the end of the session, they used to pray for the long health, good health and long life of British Queen, fine. They used to cheer for the Queen. So they used to showcase that they were totally loyal to the Britishers. Actually they were loyal. And when the loyalists are asking, when the staunch supporters are asking something, bosses have to give them something. They cannot completely satisfy their demands, fine. See, you are my staunch follower, you are asking me for something. Though I cannot satisfy complete demands of yours, I can give you in bits and pieces something so that you do not lose faith in me, fine. Now Britishers, they are clever people. If they satisfy all these demands, the next demand will be dominion status. That cannot happen. And if they give dominion status, next demand will be independence. So quite naturally, they will satisfy you just enough to make sure that you do not lose your belief in me, that is all. Now they asked for expansion of legislature. Britishers told, we will expand, fine, we will expand. They told, from now onwards, there will be two kinds of members, fine. One is official members, another one is non-official members, official and non-official members. They told the minimum strength of legislature will be 8 members, maximum it can go up to 16 members, and half of them will be non-official members. Half of them will be non-official members, fine. They told minimum strength will be 8, maximum will be 16, half of them will be non-official members. They increased the strength of provincial legislatures also. They told provincial legislatures can also have 8 to 20 members, fine. Again, half of them official, non-official, all these things. And now the second thing, they expanded, they made it 8 to 16. Second thing what we asked, more representation for Indians. They told you can become non-official members. So up to 8 members in central legislature can be Indians. They told we will give non-official membership for Indians. See, official member itself has no responsibility. It is just advisory in nature, and on top of it they are telling non-official. Fine. And third thing, we demanded elections. Britishers told indirect election. The word election was nowhere mentioned in the act. The word election was not mentioned in this act. Fine. It was mentioned for the first time in the act of 1909, Minto-Morley reforms. Fine. So they gave us indirect elections. Fine. Some non-official members, not all of them, some non-official members were elected by the votings of Zamindars, district board members, members of chambers of commerce, rich industrialists. They voted and they elected some non-official members. Fine. That we refer to as indirect elections. Okay. So they gave us indirect and limited elections. Okay. And then what did we ask for? With regard to budget, they told, sir, we want to discuss. Britishers told, discuss. Discuss, who is stopping you? Discuss how much ever you want. You are good at English. Discuss. Second one, we told, first we want to ask questions. They told, ask. Ask whatever you want. Fine. We told, thank you, boss. We went them to ask a question. Boss, why have you spent so much money on the royal darbar of Queen when people of India are dying out of hunger? Fine. We started asking the questions. We asked them valid questions. In 1899 and 1900, there was something called as Sapania Akal. Fine. A famine in India. We asked questions. Boss, why are you spending money on royal darbar of Queen 1903 and not on the welfare of Indians? And the finance minister, he told, I had sandwich for breakfast. An Indian member asked, sir, I am asking you with regard to budget and you are telling something. He told, I need not answer your question. See, you can answer, like you can question, but you don't have the right of supplementary question. You cannot ask a follow-up question. Whatever answer I give, you have to accept it, shut up and sit. That's all. Not in class. Britishers, they told this. Whatever answer they give, you have to accept. No provision of supplementary question. You can ask question, but no supplementary question. Then what's the use of asking the question? If I do not give the proper answer also, relevant answer also, you have to accept it and keep quiet. That's what they told. And we told, boss, you want to pass the resolutions on the budget? They told, you are not mature enough to pass the resolutions. Please be seated. We are allowing you to discuss. Discuss. Discuss it overnight. We don't have any issues. But when you ask questions, take the answers that we give. You don't have a right to ask supplementary questions. And you don't have the right to pass resolutions and also vote on the budget. They also asked the votings on the budget. Fine. Today we have the system now. If the budget is defeated, it will lead to the collapse of the government. Fine. So they demanded that. And Britishers, as a response, they told no voting rights and no right to pass the resolution. You can ask the question but not supplementary questions. Fine. And now, these were the legislative reforms they demanded, and this was the response by the Britishers. Now we will move on to the administrative reforms. The first thing we demanded was with regard to the civil services. Civil services. We wanted Indianization of Civil Services. Remember, Surendranath Banerjee is also the member of INC. The first demand he will put forward, Indianization of civil services. Give more representation to Indians. This is Indian civil services. Fine. The second thing, you all know about one of the greatest viceroy, Lytton. Very good person. Fine. Lytton. Very good person. Fine. See this person. See, there was Bengal, the famine throughout India, and in Bengal it was very worst, 1876-77, and he celebrated Royal Darbar 1878. Indian intelligentsia, the learned individuals, the press, they started condemning and criticizing his acts. So what he did? Vernacular Press Act. Should not criticize the Britishers, and every newspaper has to go through the compulsory censorship. And he was so scared against Indians that he imposed Arms Act. No Indian should openly carry the arms. Indians were very frustrated against the Britishers, especially the decade of 1870s. It was a turbulent decade. Fine. And that decade, anti-British sentiments increased to a greater extent, especially after 1875 during the times of Lytton. And that's the reason Britishers, in order to pacify Indians, they sent us an empathetic viceroy in the form of Ripon. He repealed Vernacular Press Act, he promoted local self-governance, he promoted the welfare works, and then Ripon was too good, too empathetic. They called him back. They sent one more repressive person, Dufferin. Fine. So this good cop, bad cop, they always kept playing with us. And there is one person who is mix of both. He is an evil genius, Curzon. Fine. See, Lytton you can easily say is an evil person. Ripon you can say is an empathetic person. And Curzon is a mix of both. Lytton at times, Ripon at times. Curzon. Fine. We will get to know more about him, but Indianization of civil services. Why I started telling about Lytton was that he decreased the age to 19 years. Any of us, are we even qualified to appear in the prelims if the age is 19 years? Anyone? No. In India the minimum age 21. Like by the time you qualify you will be 21. So he virtually disqualified all Indians from entering into the civil services. 19 years. And the examination, it was conducted only at London. How can a poor Indian, despite being a very serious aspirant, how can he go to London all the way to appear in the examination? Fine. We demanded these things, and not only this, we told, boss, include Indian members in Viceroy's Executive Council. Fine. We understood that Legislative Council is just advisory in nature, the real power is with Executive Council. So we told, boss, take an Indian into the Executive Council. Fine. So we demanded all these things. We will see how Britishers responded. Fine. With regard to the civil services reforms, whatever demands we had with regard to the reforms to the civil services, they set up a commission called as Aitchison Committee. You are blaming Britishers, boss, you are virtually creating a situation wherein you are disqualifying all Indians from entering into civil services. Fine. The system is biased against Indians. Then Britishers told, no, 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 no. How can you blame me for bias? I am the most impartial, unbiased person. Fine. If you want, I will set up a committee. That committee will bring out the truth. And they set up Aitchison Committee. Earlier there was civil services. It had two divisions, covenanted and non-covenanted. It's similar to gazetted and non-gazetted. Fine. And this Aitchison, he told this covenanted, non-covenanted, he told it to be cancelled. He told there will be three divisions now: imperial, provincial and local. Civil services will have three levels. Earlier covenanted, non-covenanted. Fine. Now it will have three levels: imperial, provincial and local. Okay. And he recommended to increase the age to 23 years. Fine. Earlier, when the system of open competitive examination in 1853, when it was given to Indians, the minimum age was 18 years and the maximum age was 23 years. Aitchison recommended we will restore the age limit to 23 years. How many of us are eligible? 23, one person, 2, very good, 3, 4, okay, senior aspirants, veterans, rest of them. Fine. Okay, so he told it to be increased to 23 years. Okay, and he also told, fine, conduct the simultaneous examinations in India and also at London. Simultaneous examinations, but for this to take effect, it took almost 30 years. It took almost 30 years. 1893, they told we will start the simultaneous examination, but for that to take effect, all this, the first simultaneous examination was conducted in the year 1922. Fine. They agreed to it in 1893, but it was conducted in 1922. We had to wait for 30 years. And in 1922, where do you think it was conducted? Allahabad, not in Delhi. 1922, Allahabad, not Delhi. Fine. Maximum age limit should be 23 years. Minimum 18. Minimum is 18 years. Yes. Lytton. That's the reason I told he was very kind. You get one attempt. If you succeed, you become officer, or else you will have the clarity in life. What to do next? If you are given 6 attempts, 9 attempts, 1 decade is gone. Only after you exhaust all the attempts, you will get some clarity in life. That's why I told he was a kind person. Fine. At the age of 19, he gave us future clarity. Fine. I did not have one. Even today, I don't have one. That's the reason he told he is a very kind person.
They didn't decrease the age to 19 years. This was done in which year?
1878. 1878. Just a minute, gentlemen, I'm coming to it. Wait. See, 1922, they conducted the simultaneous examination. And now, after conducting the simultaneous examination, is also, in 1919 Act, they told we will set up a public service commission to conduct examination in India. 1919, they told we will set up a central public service commission. In the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, they told we will set up a committee to conduct the examination in India. In London, they were conducting the examination. There they had this civil services committee. Civil services examination committee was there to take care of the entire process. But in India, there was no such organization or process that was put in place. Fine. That's the reason, despite accepting to the fact of conducting the simultaneous examination in 1893, till 1922 nothing happened, because there was no body designated to conduct the examination. There was no process that was designed. So 1919 Act told, set up a Central Public Service Commission, but no committee was set up. No commission was set up. Later, in 1922, Indians started demanding with full force, we want the examination to be conducted here. So in 1922, they passed some rules, fine, they passed some rules, they conducted the elections in Allahabad. But what was the capital city at that point of time? Delhi. Elections were, these examinations were not conducted in Delhi. And now, this was just temporary set of rules. There was no permanent body and permanent process. We started demanding more, and as a response to the demands, they set up a committee called as Lee Committee, Royal Committee on Civil Services. They set up a committee called as Lee Committee or Lee Commission. And this Lee Commission, it recommended setting up of Central Public Service Commission. And that's the reason Central Public Service Commission was established in the year 1926. Despite it was a provision in the Act of 1919, it took 7 long years to set it up, because only after Lee Commission told it, it was set up. Understood? Why Lee Committee was set up? Because of the pressure that was imposed by the Swarajists in the council. Swarajists demanded, we want a committee. Why no Public Service Commission has been set up? Why no simultaneous examinations are being conducted? Only after their pressure, Lee Committee was set up. And based on the recommendations of Lee Committee, they set up Central Public Service Commission as a central recruiting agency and a nodal agency to conduct the civil services examination. Earlier form of UPSC, CPSC, 1926. Fine. Understood? And there is one less known committee. Write down in the margin, assignment for you. I don't know how to spell it, I am bad at English. I used to spell it as Islington only, but one English teacher told me it is Islington Committee. S is silent, so I am sort of confused. So I just write the name, I don't spell it. Fine. Islington Committee, Islington Committee, Islington Committee. Fine. Take the revenge against the Britishers. Kill English. Fine. After all, in exam we write the correct spelling, no? That's all matters. Pronunciation, rocket. Fine. And now, this is one thing with regard to the civil services. And this committee told, HSN committee, what were we blaming the Britishers about? We were telling, boss, you have a bias against Indians. You are not recruiting more Indians into civil services because you are biased against Indians. Your system is biased. And now Britishers told, this committee, they told, no, the system is perfectly fine. You Indians are not capable enough to clear this examination. Fine. And moderates, they were like, boss, you would have told it to us before setting up the committee only. Why did you do all this drama? They told, this is a fact-finding committee, HSN committee. It will clearly investigate into the matter of any discrimination against Indians into the civil services, and then it will bring out the truth at any cost. And it brought out the truth that was convenient to Britishers. What was it? The system is unbiased, foolproof. And Indians, you are not qualified to, you are not fit enough to qualify. That's not the problem of the system, that's your problem. And in 1922, they got one clear answer. Fine. There was a person who got rank 4 and that person taught them lot of lessons. Fine. And now with regard to the Indians in VEC, I mean Viceroy's Executive Council, do you think they will take? We are talking about 1880s, 1890s. Did it take any Indian? 1890s. They rejected. You are not fit enough, you are not qualified enough, you are not mature enough, wait. So, no Indians was taken, they did not respond to it. And then, right on the third demand, that is demanded explanation with regard to the drain of wealth. You all know that theory of drain of wealth given by whom? Dadabhai Naoroji, the grand old man of India, first Indian to be the member of British Parliament. Fine. Dadabhai Naoroji. In margin you can write these things down. Dadabhai Naoroji gave the theory of drain of wealth in his renowned book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, not famine. What is un-British? See, Dadabhai Naoroji, he had seen how the British government functions. They were taking care of welfare of their citizens, they were developmental, they were progressive in England. But in India, they were doing the exact opposite things. That's the reason he told poverty and un-British. According to Dadabhai Naoroji, British means progress, development, welfare. But in India, exact opposite thing was happening. That's the reason he termed it as poverty and un-British rule in India. Fine. Poverty and un-British rule in India. Okay. So, that book gave this concept. Okay. And write down about Dadabhai Naoroji. Have you written it down? Dadabhai Naoroji. Dadabhai Naoroji. Have you written about him? No. Write down in the margin only. Published a newspaper, Rast Goftar. Published a newspaper called as Rast Goftar. First Indian to be the member of British Parliament. (1893) Salisbury. First Indian to be the member of British Parliament. And how could he contest the election? He was an Indian, right? He was a businessman, fine. See, it's not about business. Indians, they are also the British citizens. Fine. By virtue of that, and his property qualifications, everything, they were up to the mark. Fine. They were equivalent to they were comparable to the British citizens. So he could qualify to contest, and he contested. Any Indian could contest in England also, because we are British citizens, ruled by Britishers. Understood? So the first Indian, okay, and he served as the president of INC thrice. Served as the president of INC thrice. 1886 Calcutta. 1893 Lahore. 1906 Calcutta again. 1906 Calcutta. Fine. So do you know who was his political associate? Like his PA kind of a thing, political secretary. when he was the MP? He had one more political associate, one more secretary. That person was also the lawyer of Tilak in 1908 case. Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He unsuccessfully defended Tilak in 1908, but he successfully defended them in 1918. 10 years down the line, Jinnah had grown as the lawyer. Fine. He successfully defended Tilak. 1908 he failed. He was a young lawyer. Fine. We'll know more about Jinnah tomorrow's class. Today it's enough. Fine. And then no Indians were taken into Viceroy's Executive Council, and as a response to the Indians' blame with regard to the demand of drain of wealth, Britishers were propagating the theory of white man's burden. They were telling that we are spending our own resources on your welfare and development, we are spending on resources on civilizing you, educating you, all these things. And this theory of drain of wealth, they proved all the theory of white man burden as wrong. Fine. There was net outflow of money from India to England. So it proved that. So Britishers, when we started demanding the explanation, why are you taking our money, why are you looting our money, why are you not spending it on Indians, we started asking questions. They set up, I have never taken even a single penny of your money. If you want more details, we will set up a committee, Royal Commission on Expenditure, called as Welby Committee, Royal Committee on Expenditure. As a response to the blame of drain of wealth, they set up Royal Committee on Expenditure, Royal Committee on Expenditure, Welby Committee, 1895, WELBY, Welby Committee, 1895. Welby Committee, 1895. Okay. This committee told no drain of wealth, not at all. Instead, Britishers are giving you so much, you should be loyal to them, should be grateful to them. This committee told no drain of wealth. In fact, all British committees, they always tell the truth, right? Unbiased truth. Okay. So even today, that's the reason we follow this committee approach. Whenever there is a problem, we'll set up a committee to look into the issue. Right? Follow the footsteps of Britishers, almost all the areas of administration and governance. They taught us this committee approach. Whenever there is a strong blame against you with regard to a thing, they used to set up a committee. They used to blame them, sir, complete bias in civil services. They told HSN committee that will look into it. We told boss, you are robbing our wealth. We told Welby committee, they will look into it. Fine. And Dadabhai Nauroji, he gave evidence to this Welby committee. Fine. He gave evidence to this Welby committee. Okay. There was one more famous critic, colonial critic, R.C. Dutt. Fine. Economic History of India. These two books together exposed the economic exploitation of Britishers. R.C. Dutt, Ramesh Chandra Dutt. Economic History of India. I told you the famous batch of 4, 1868 ICS batch. And read on the demand for civil liberties. What all they demanded with regard to the civil liberties? The first point, voting rights. Voting rights. Article 14, right to equality. Article 19(1)(a), freedom of expression. Fine. Article 19(1)(b), fine. Freedom of press, inherent within Article 19(1)(a). Freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, they demanded all these things, civil liberties. And then right on, last point, right to fair trial, unbiased trial in the courts, right to fair trial. Fine. And with regard to the welfare demands, please write down welfare demands. Told them to decrease the expenditure on military, set up modern industries in India, Third point, promotion to education. Fine. They wanted Britishers to take up the task of mass education. Fine. So next point, protection of Indians in different parts of empire. The situation of Indians in Canada and South Africa, it was very critical. Fine. Next point, extension of permanent settlement, to other areas. Now you can ask me, sir, whose welfare? Zamindars' welfare. Fine. So most of the members of INC initial days, who are they? Zamindars. Fine. Who is to fund INC? Zamindars. Fine. So Zamindars' welfare, not the farmers' welfare. Okay. INC never speaks about the farmers or the peasants till 1931. Fine. And in 1931 they had this like enlightenment. Why? I'll tell you. But as of now, this is enough. Okay. So now these were the demands of the moderates. Whatever Britishers satisfied, I told you, Act of 1892, and then the Welby Commission, Aitchison Commission, etc. They were the response of the Britishers. They also told we will conduct the simultaneous exam. They accepted that they would conduct the simultaneous examination in 1893, but it did not get implemented till 1922. I told you the story of Lee Committee, all these things. And then moderates, were they successful? In accomplishing their aims or objectives? No. I mean, moderates, did they demand for Swaraj? Self-rule under Britishers? No. They demanded only for reforms under the British rule, not Swaraj or self-rule. Please write down limitations. Elitist in nature, elitist, E-L-I-T-I-S-T, elitist in nature. Second point, urban upper middle class and English educated background. They were from urban upper class, middle class and English educated background. And next point, they did not believe in mass politics. They just wanted to politically educate the masses, but they did not expect the masses to participate in the national movement. Right? They did not believe in mass politics. In bracket write down, they assumed that the Indian masses, are divided over the lines of caste, religion, etc. And therefore cannot be unified. Fine. Next point, they were not progressive enough to demand self rule. Fine. Comma, they were content or satisfied with piecemeal reforms, P-I-E-C-E, piecemeal, M-E-A-L, piecemeal reforms. Next point, they did not bring up the issue of laborers and peasants. Why? They were the ones who were exploiting them. They were zamindars, they were industrialists. Fine. If they talk about the welfare of laborers and peasants, it will indirectly affect their own class. Fine. Class interest. See, there are a lot of historians who think that Indian national movement is a struggle between the classes. The national movement got successful when the lower sections of the society, lower classes of the society started asserting itself. The national movement became stronger after peasants and labor joined it. Fine. When they got class conscious, when they started demanding their rightful share, that is when national movement got strengthened. There are many historians who believe that view. Fine. And please write down. They initially welcomed the Act of 1892. They initially welcomed the Act of 1892, but later criticized it and even passed resolutions to condemn it. See, initially when you look at this, you have to understand, what did moderates demand? Expansion of legislature. Was it expanded? Yes. They demanded more Indians into legislature. Were more Indians given the chance? Yes. They demanded elections. Indirect elections were introduced. They demanded budgetary rights. We got the right to discuss, we got the right to ask questions. So on paper, it looks like most of the demands were satisfied. Moderates also understood that. Like initially they were excited. Okay, when they looked at the act, they were excited. Guru, whatever we asked, Britishers satisfied it. They started praising Britishers. Boss, you are the incarnation of God, given us everything. And extremists started laughing at them. There were some extremist elements within INC. Tilak, he started laughing at them. What did you ask? Expansion of legislature. What you got in return? Non-official members. Official members only have no job. They are advisory in nature. What about non-official members? You are celebrating for that. Second thing, they told more Indian representation, non-official members. So again, you become the member, you go, you sit, you come back. There was one person like Raja Digvijay Singh of Balrampur. He served as the member of Legislative Council for 2 consecutive terms. Raja Digvijay Singh. So 2 consecutive terms. And there was an Indian journalist who wanted to interview him. Back then, like, see, today we have Lok Sabha TV, Rajya Sabha TV, whatever happens in parliament, we get to know that. It is very transparent. Except for the times the members behave in a childish way, it will be on live telecast. Fine. So, and now Raja Digvijay Singh, he was the member for 2 terms. Like the people, they were curious regarding how the discussions will happen in the Legislative Council, how they rise and discuss issues, how they ask questions, how policies are formulated. And a journalist, he was curious about it. He wanted to know what happens in Legislative Council meetings. So through a relative, he got to know about Raja Digvijay Singh. He went, he met Raja Digvijay Singh. He asked him, sir, you are the member, you are the honorable member of the Legislative Council for 2 terms. Sir, please tell us how things happen in Legislative Council, how you bring up issues, how you discuss, how you like pass it, how it is implemented, how you advise, all these procedures, whatever goes on, how it all happens. We are curious about it. Raja Digvijay Singh told only one word, I don't know English. Journalist did not understand. Sir, you don't know English and you were the member for 2 consecutive terms. Sir, what you used to do in Legislative Council meetings? Raja Digvijay Singh told, whenever the Viceroy raised his hand, I used to raise. Whenever he laughed, I used to laugh. And that's the reason I became the member for next term also, for my active participation. So this was the nature of Indian representatives who were the member of legislature. These kind of great representatives we had. Even today it is not very different, that's a different story. Manjunath sir would have discussed about all these things, polity, but earlier also we had such type of people. Okay. So, and when extremists exposed the loopholes of this policy, moderates, they got enlightened. Okay, what we asked and what they gave, they are totally different. Initially they were satisfied, they welcomed it. Later they realized the true nature of this. What we asked is different, what they gave is different. And they demanded elections. It doesn't mean they demanded elections for everyone. Fine. They demanded voting rights, they did not demand voting rights for all the masses. They told, give the voting rights for the educated ones like us. Not the universal franchisee. The concept of universal franchisee was not there during the times of moderates. What they demanded was franchisee or the voting rights for the educated section so that they can use it responsibly. Understood? So please write down, they did not demand for voting rights for masses. Rather, it was for the educated class. Rather, it was for the educated class. Understood? So now, the last and the most important thing, they were loyal to the Britishers. They were loyal to the Britishers. That is their main limitation. They believed in the Britishers. Who are the other prominent moderate leaders you know? We discussed about Dadabai Nauroji. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, write down. Gopal Krishna Gokhale.
Sir, this moderates also criticize the factory acts. They criticize the factory acts.
Because they are industrialists. That's what I am telling. They are industrialists. They wanted to protect their class interest. Fine. So, write on Gopal Krishna Gokhale. First point, founded Servants of India Society. Servants of India Society. In bracket, objective was to prepare volunteers for the service of the nation. Objective was to prepare the volunteers for the service of the nation. Fine. Comma, secular in nature. Secular in nature. Secular in nature. Fine. Next point. Served as the president of INC. Served as the president of INC in 1905, Banaras. In 1905, Banaras. Fine. Today's Varanasi. So, next point. He was a member of Imperial Legislative Council. Where he demanded free primary education for Indians. Free primary education for Indians. Second point, abolition of salt tax. Free primary education of Indians. Abolition of salt tax. And third point, Indianization of civil services. Indianization of civil services. Fine. There is one more point, I will tell it to you later, leave one point blank. Go to the next moderate leader. Whom do you like very much? Firoz Shah Mehta, write down. Firoz Shah Mehta. Founding member of Bombay Presidency Association. Founding member of Bombay Presidency Association. Next point, known as father of Bombay Municipal Corporation, known as the father of Bombay Municipal Corporation. Next point, served as the Vice Chancellor of Bombay University. Served as the Vice Chancellor of Bombay University. Published the newspaper Bombay Chronicle. Served as the member of Bombay Legislative Council. Everything Bombay. One common thing in all the points they wrote down was Bombay. Huh? Member of Bombay Legislative Council and as a member of Indian Legislative Council and as a member of Indian Legislative Council, he led first ever walkout in the history of Indian legislature. First ever walkout in the history of Indian legislature. Fine. See, today whoever walks out of parliament, they are the fans of Firoz Shah Mehta. Fine. We like him very much. That's the reason they walk out very frequently as a token of respect. Fine. The next leader, Surendranath Banerjee. You wrote down about everything. You wrote down everything about him, right? So write down about like R.C. Dutt. That also done. Nahi hua. There is only one more point, please write down. Presided INC session of Lucknow 1899. Presided INC session of Lucknow 1899. Fine. So the boring part of history is over now. It's over now. So tomorrow we'll start with extremists. Fine. The most entertaining part begins tomorrow. Okay. So thank you all. See you all tomorrow. And do you have any problem with the timings? Like I got to know that many people they objected to 7 a.m. timing.
Because some students like me come from Faridabad and
Okay.
half of the metro of Delhi.
Okay.
तो मैं 8 बजे तक आ सकते 7
7
बजे तक पॉसिबल नहीं है।
बजे तक पॉसिबल नहीं. What about 7:30?
नो सर आप 8 AM ही रखिए
8 a.m. will be a problem for Shaman sir to complete his syllabus. So 2 hours earlier. Late. See, with the passing time, right, afternoon, the productivity will decrease. So that's the reason. Like, see if you can adjust for 3 more days. 7:30, just 3 more days. Fine. Request 3 more days. Fine. That's all. Like by Thursday or at max by Friday, we'll be done with our syllabus. And on Friday, if it is not completed, we'll have the session on 8 a.m. only. Fine. So not 7:30, we'll have it at 8 a.m. only. Fine. So next 3 days 7:30, and after that 8 only. Okay. The next faculty whoever comes, they'll take from 8 only. Why are you laughing? Did you get this assurance before me also? No. But we Indians, we have that like, it's a part of our routine now to get fooled. So, to get the promises, unfulfilled promises. So, first 10 minutes I will I'll just discuss. Try to come as soon as possible. Fine? Okay. For me to get settled down, it will take around like 10-15 minutes. So by 7:45 the actual lecture will begin. So it doesn't mean that you have to come at 7:45 or 8. Fine. Today I forgot to take my medications. I came all the way till here, I went back to take it. That's the reason, I was late by around 10 to 15 minutes. Tomorrow it won't happen. I'll be here by 7:30, that's for sure. Okay. Generally I'm not late to my lectures. I'll be the earliest one. So I'm sorry, today it was delayed. So but tomorrow it will be on time. Okay. So thank you all. Huh? Yeah, usually I used to take 4 sessions of 5 hours each, 4 to 5 hours each. So probably Friday it will be completed. Why? This Friday. I'll not stay till next Friday. Saturday I have to meet my doctor at any cost. Okay. So use they are giving okay. Thank you all. See you all tomorrow. These people, they keep on commenting. Thanks to you as well. See, if it was in Bangalore, I used to take at 7. I am used to 7 a.m. classes. Fine. I understood. See, in Bangalore to take 7 a.m. classes, I used to wake up at 4:30. I stay at in the outskirts of Bangalore. I used to travel around 50 kilometers. Again, 1.5 hours time it used to take. I used to adjust. I took it for around 25 classes at 7 a.m. See, I'm not telling that. In Bangalore, these people, they are comfortable with 7 a.m. classes. So they are demanding for 7 a.m. I am telling them, even I am comfortable with 7 a.m. but we have to adjust. 7:30, fine. Don't worry, 7:30 from tomorrow. Final clarification. In Bangalore, we have 20 minutes interval before 8 a.m. between metros. One train and another. 20 minutes. Now your metro is the fastest.